Welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. We have with us Dr. Raman Desai, whole-time director, and Mr. Faiz Nagaria, chief financial officer at Aether Industries, joining in. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. And firstly, congratulations for this milestone with regards to going public. My first question coming to you is, overall, if you could give our viewers an insight in terms of highlights of the IPO.
Yeah, so I would take this question. We are coming with an IPO of 757 crores, which is reduced to 627 crores due to the pre-IPO which were done of 130 crores on 5th May. And there is a OFS of 28,20,000 shares by selling shareholder. And we will be using this proceeds towards third manufacturing site, which is coming up, which has a total capex of 190 crores and 163 crores will be used from the IPO. We are funding our working capital requirements for 165 crores. We'll be paying off our all debts through the IPO and we'll be a debt-free company, and the remaining will be used for the GCP.
Right. So that's with regards to our overall, the IPO details are concerned. Coming to Aether Industries as well, a brief in terms of what the business is, what's the model that we're using right now, etc.
Yeah, so we are a differentiated manufacturer of specialty chemicals and advanced intermediates at Aether Industries. We focus on core competencies of chemistries and technologies as the fundamental face of the company. And then the products that derive from these competencies are advanced intermediates and specialty chemicals across the industry spectrum, pharmaceuticals, agrochemicals, material sciences, oil and gas, coatings and additives. Our revenues are derived from three business models: large-scale manufacturing, contract research, and contract manufacturing. Most of the products that we make are for the first time in India. We are highlighting 8 of our products in the RHP and the IPO presentations. And out of that, we are the largest in the world for 4 specialty chemicals and the only ones in India for 7 of the 8 specialty chemicals that we make. And so that's a very high level overview of the company, and happy to answer any more questions here.
Right. So in terms of the 3 business segments that you mentioned as well, what's the revenue breakup looking like?
Faiz, can you take the question maybe?
Yeah, so the revenue breakup for the 3 business lines is we are having 70% from our large scale manufacturing, and 30% comes from the contract research and contract manufacturing.
Right. And overall, if you see in terms of the manufacturing side of it as well, you have 2 manufacturing sites in Surat is what I understand. What's the capacity and what's the capacity utilization as well on a blended basis?
We have 6,000 metric ton capacity, and the capacity utilization is 80%
right.
or so.
Okay. And from here on, we're using some of the proceeds with regards to expansion of manufacturing as well. So what is that expansion going to look like, by how much, and what's the capacity addition that we're looking like with timelines?
So we are looking at 2 manufacturing sites, additional coming up, greenfield production sites. One which will be one which is almost completing civil construction and which will be commissioned fully by the end of this year. And the one which we are targeting completion and commissioning by the end of next calendar year 23. And so 2 greenfield production sites coming up, a combined capacity of almost 9,000 metric tons. And the capex contribution, the capex of the first greenfield production sites, as Faiz has already mentioned, is 190 crores. And the capex towards the second greenfield production site additional coming up will be, which is site number 4, will be 250 crores or so.
Right. And how much of it will be through internal accruals?
Faiz?
Yeah. For the fourth site, we'll be using the GCP proceeds, and maybe 50% will be from the internal accruals.
Right. And in terms of revenue recognition as well, I understand, I think it's FY24 is when we will start seeing revenue recognition. What's the revenue recognition pipeline looking like from both these new units?
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. See, we cannot give any forward-looking
right.
statement.
I understand.
Yeah. But we are envisaging that we should have the products and the revenues in such a way that we are able to generate revenues as we have been doing in the previous years.
Okay.
And the growth that we have seen.
Absolutely. So overall, if you see in terms of R&D as well, what percentage of our, expense, how much of it on the P&L is as a percentage of revenues is R&D, and are we envisaging an increase in terms of R&D spends as well?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Hiral. We spend 5.4% of our annual revenues on R&D expenditure, which is a significant contribution and a significant differentiation in the specialty chemical industry. And as we continue to grow, we speculate that the percentage will remain more or less the same. But as the company grows and the top line grows, this corresponding percentage, the quantum of that will also correspondingly grow. And so we'll continue to spend a significant amount of money in R&D. And in terms of R&D, we have just as of last week completed a more than double expansion of the R&D infrastructure already. And in the next 2 months, we are reaching almost a triple expansion of the R&D infrastructure. So it's a huge focus and thrust on the R&D expansions.
Right. And overall, in terms of sales side of it as well, what percentage of our revenues come in from the domestic markets and how much comes in from exports?
More or less, it is. Sorry, go ahead.
So, yeah, so it's like if you see geographical mix, it's 50% from India, 50% from outside. But if you take even the SEZ sales and DME exports in India, the mix is 36 and 64.
Right. Okay. And in terms of international markets as well, where is our presence and anything that we already have in our expansion portfolio, which is already out in our DRHP?
We have presence in more than 30 countries, I believe, in terms of a customer base. And I might be wrong in the number, but it's around that. It's more than 30 countries in the DRHP. In the RHP, that's already been mentioned.
18
countries as a customer base and spread across the globe. And in terms, so I think that answers the question, Hiral.
Right. And overall, if you see, I know we can't give forward-looking statements, but are we looking to maintain the same kind of growth that we've seen so far? Any new milestones over the next 5 years that we have?
So we have 2 greenfield production sites already earmarked. It's already mentioned in the RHP. And also what is mentioned in the RHP is the fact that we have bought a plot of land in the chemical zone of Panoli, which is 126,000 square meters, which is, to put that in perspective, we have 1x production capacity now. The 2 greenfield sites coming up will represent 1.5x additional production capacity. And the land bank that we have already purchased is 13 times the current land bank that we have of a production site. And so that will be used for the subsequent greenfield production sites after we commission site 4 in the years to come. And so we have more than doubled the R&D infrastructure already. Last week, we are tripling the R&D infrastructure now. Over the last 6 months, we have tripled the pilot plant capacity. We have 700 plus team, which is average of just 32 years. We have really an unprecedented global business development and technology team in place in Europe and USA. And so all the fundamental pieces have been put, I believe, very nicely in place already. So I can't talk about the future, but
I know.
we are trying to place the pieces so that we achieve a sustainable and quantum growth in the years to come.
Absolutely. And specialty chemicals has been a space which has seen a good growth story over the last couple of years as well. And especially in the domestic market itself, which is booming. So that's something which would be a good focus.
I am a firm believer in the specialty chemicals segment in India. I've been saying this for a while, that the last 5 years and the next 10 years are going to be a golden age for the Indian spec chem industry, and the companies in India who are differentiated and can deliver on the cost and the quality and the intellectual property and the relationships. I think there's tremendous opportunity. It's an ocean of opportunities, and it's up to us to grab the opportunities and make the most of it. So absolutely.
Absolutely. Looking forward to. Thank you, Aman. Thank you, Faiz, so much for joining us on the show. A pleasure to speak to you. And congratulations once again. Good luck for the IPO and the coming quarters, and hoping to speak to you soon again. Stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us, and the pleasure was absolutely ours.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.